Happy New Year everyone, I hope you have all enjoyed your festive celebrations and are looking forward to the year ahead. In typical fashions, the very first video of the year is always my predictions for Star Wars gaming across the next 12 months, so that is exactly what I'll be doing in today's video. But before I get into that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel with the notification bell turned on to never miss a piece of Star Wars gaming news. I think it should be a pretty decent year for Star Wars gaming, so make sure you don't miss out. But starting off right away with the things that we already know about that are happening. And first of all, that is the Dark Forces remastered game, and that is releasing on the 28th of February this year, so in about 7 to 8 weeks time from now. So that is very exciting. So as someone who hasn't actually played Dark Forces originally, I'll definitely be looking to get this, and I'll probably stream my playthrough of it. But apart from that, that is the only thing we have specific dates on, but we do know that Star Wars Outlaws and Star Wars Hunters are both said to be releasing in 2024, but we unfortunately don't know when. So we don't really know too much about exactly what will happen this year in terms of timings, but I do have somewhat high hopes, so now I'll go over my predictions. So the last we heard about Star Wars Hunters was back at the start of November in 2023, and that was the fact that it was delayed into 2024. Now in the previous investor call it said calendar 2024 release, but previously it did actually say it was fiscal 2024, and for those who don't know, fiscal 24 is April 1st 2023 to March 31st 2024, but calendar year obviously now is today, January 1st until December 31st. So I feel like if the game was going to be releasing within the next 2 to 3 months or so, it would still say fiscal 24, and to be fair, we would probably know about it by now, or we'd find out very soon. But I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Hunters has actually been pushed back to around late Q3 or Q4, so around September to November time, and that is likely because Outlaws I believe will be releasing in Q2 of this year, so sometime around April or May, just like Jedi Survivor did last year, and I have explained my reasoning for that in several different videos, but essentially because of when we got the trailer and even gameplay straight after, plus the early announcement of Julian Geraghty going back to the Division, that news about Julian just doesn't happen if the current game they're working on is more than 12 months away, and the fact that we already had gameplay as well and so much of it, I don't think they'd wait 18 months to release it, so I think early to mid Q2 is a somewhat realistic target. So like I said, that would be April or May this year, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we get the news for that release date within the next 6 to 8 weeks from now, which does almost make you wonder why it wasn't at the Game Awards, but as I've said in other videos, I think they didn't release anything to do with Outlaws at the Game Awards because it was the exact same day that Avatar Frontiers of Pandora released, which of course is the other big IP that Massive Entertainment have been working on, so they didn't want Star Wars to overshadow that and vice versa. So that is ultimately where I think things are at with Star Wars Outlaws. I think we'll get a trailer for it or something, or even just a release date within the next 2 months or so for a release in early to mid Q2. With Hunters though, I think we will also be getting a fairly sizable update within the next couple of weeks based on an in-game timer that we've had in the game for the last few weeks, and then until release I wouldn't be surprised if we got an update every 2 to 3 months or so, which has been typically what's happened over the last 2 years. Pretty much every 3 months we've been getting updates. Last year it was March, June and September, so now in January is definitely a good time to get the next update, which means I wouldn't be too surprised if we got another update in April, and then potentially the game could release in July, but potentially it's going to be August or September I think, but we will just have to wait and see. Ultimately that does mean that Hunters and Outlaws are the really big things happening for Star Wars gaming this year, but of course Hunters could be delayed once again, but hopefully it won't. I feel pretty confident that now that it's been delayed again, it shouldn't do from now, especially as a lot of the content that they have in the game now is the launch content they had planned for global, so I'm hoping it's not too far away. But then we also actually know about Jedi Survivor releasing on PS4 and Xbox One. That was announced back in August last year, but we haven't actually heard anything about it since then, so I'm hoping we'll get some kind of release date on that soon, but when that will be I'm not sure, because for many people it's not really going to be a huge deal, but for others of course it will be. So I think for the sake of Star Wars Outlaws, I think it would be wiser to release it in the second half of the year, and given that Hunters is Switch and mobile only, releasing a game on PS4 and Xbox One won't really have an impact on it either, and Hunters is obviously free to play as well, so I think that's probably quite good to go at any time. So Dark Forces, Hunters, Outlaws and Jedi Survivor for previous gen consoles I think will be the sort of main things happening this year. But then I wouldn't be too surprised if at various game shows like the Summer Games Fest, PlayStation, Nintendo Direct or the Game Awards, I think we could get some new announcements and reveals for other Star Wars games, and hopefully a new virtual reality game from ILMX Lab, because at the moment we actually don't know anything about 2025, and that will no doubt be fast approaching. Last year, going into 2024, we knew nothing about what was happening next year, pretty much up until the reveal of Star Wars Outlaws. So since June, we've known about Star Wars Outlaws releasing this year, and then obviously Hunters, we've kind of known about that potentially releasing this year for quite a while as well. So I wouldn't be too surprised if around that similar time, June, July time, we start to find out what's happening next year in 2025, but we will just have to wait and see. So they are my predictions for Star Wars gaming in 2024. I think they are a bit more toned down and realistic compared to what I've done the last few years. And like I said at the start, if you want to stay fully up to date with all things Star Wars gaming, then do make sure you are subscribed to the channel, as I will always be getting the news out to you as soon as possible. That is it from me today though. Thank you all very much for watching, and may the Force be with you always.